I gotta admit, talking to the camera, I haven't really done this before. I've been blogging for a while, but never done a video blog, so this is kind of a new thing. And I don't know why, but I'm almost nervous talking to the camera. I guess it's part of putting yourself out there so that people can actually see you, see the way you talk, and judge you on it. But if I was really that worried about being judged, I wouldn't be doing this and wouldn't be blogging in the first place. So I decided to do this vlog because I've decided to do ECT again. This is assuming that the insurance company comes back and approves it. Somewhat of a process for it to get approved. I have to show that I have actual medical necessity for it. And so going through the laundry list of medications the other day when I had my appointment, and front and back of one page were just all the different psych medications that you could be on. And I checked off a good portion of them, and then they wanted you to know, or they wanted to know if either of them had been effective or why you stopped and how long you took it. That was a lot of information to put down. I did my best because some of them I don't really remember because they're from years past. A lot of them truly were effective at some point, but over time my body just became immune, I guess you would say, to them. They stopped working. So that's part of the process of medical necessity for this. The insurance company wants to know that you've tried the less expensive route, so to speak. I've had ECT in the past. In 2014, the suicidal ideations and the depression became too much, and I did try to kill myself. Probably would have been successful had my wife, who was asleep at the time, somehow heard me downstairs fall over. I must have made a big thud. So she found me, and I made it through that. But during the hospitalization subsequent to that, I told the doctor, I said, you know, I'm tired of this cycle. I feel like I'm getting better. I'm better for a little while, and then I have to deal with the suicidal ideations again. They just come and they just are unending. It's this horrible, horrible cycle. And I said, I'm not going to take my medications. I said, because I guarantee you I will try to kill myself again. And as far as my state of mind at the time, I said, hopefully I'll be successful next time. I said, I don't want to try new medications. I've tried so many different medications. And he said, well, what if we try something different? And I had never really considered anything different. I told him I'm not opposed to happiness. I just didn't think it was possible. So the options were given to me, TMS or ECT. So I read up on them and decided, even though the ECT had more side effects, it also had a stronger track record of success. So I decided, excuse me. So I decided to go with the ECT, and so I was transferred up to a facility that did that. I was living in California at the time, so I went up to Sacramento and was hospitalized there, had a facility where they do the ECT. And talking to the doctor also, my wife reminded me of this the other day, that he also kind of reiterated that at the level of depression and suicidal thoughts that I was having, generally TMS doesn't do as good a job as the ECT. So we felt that ECT was the right choice. I spent 2 or 3 weeks in the hospital up there going through treatments. We started with unilateral treatments, and that's where they put a node. Honestly, I'm not sure what side of the head. They put an electrode on one side, and at the top sends a current through your head to cause a seizure, a controlled seizure. It's not barbaric like you see in the movies and you think horrible things about. You're completely sedated. You're put under general anesthesia. You're given muscle relaxants. So other than the readout showing that you're having a seizure, there's no movement. There's no real other indicator of it. I went through that for a couple weeks and wasn't making any improvements. That's generally where they start you. And then from there, we moved on to bilateral, which is where you get the electrodes on either side of your head. And that generally is more effective, but it comes with more side effects. So after, well, as far as I recollect, not right away did I start having memory issues. We kept doing the bilateral for a couple of months, and generally, I was hospitalized in the summertime, July and August. Generally every year around Christmas I have a horrible relapse into depression. That was true for 2014. And so we stepped up my regimen and went back to, I think it was 3 sessions a week, which was a real pain in the ass, frankly, because we lived 4.5 hours from where the treatments were administered. The town we lived in did not have this sort of treatment. But I was really lucky to have my wife who was willing to go through all that and get me there and get me back and take care of me. I'll just make a side note as to depression. Depression doesn't make any sense. You can have the best life. You can be every facet that should make you happy. Everything you need. I had a great life, great family, great kids, great friends, well off financially, just had everything going for me. Still do. And yet I still deal with the depression. It doesn't make any sense. Sometimes certain situations cause depression, and you can work on them. And I'm not saying I don't work on my depression. I try to make sure that I minimize activities that promote my depression. But for those of you out there wondering why, there isn't always a why. There's just that depression exists, and it's just this damn thing that won't go away. It's just it's a disease. You wouldn't go up to somebody and say, "Why do you have cancer? Can't you just fix that?" And yet people with mental illness often are treated like that. Well, can't you just go fix yourself? There were times in my life that I was treated like that. They sucked. So try to be kind to yourself. And if you're just watching this and you don't have mental illness, try to be kind to others. So when we stepped up my regimen back up with the bilateral, that's the first time I specifically remember losing memory. Maybe I was before then, I just don't remember. A lot of things I have to ask my wife, and she'll give me answers and that surprise me. I started losing my memory. I'd say it wasn't right away. It was gradual, but I'd say memories from 2014, 2013, 2012, maybe even 2011 a little bit. It's hit and miss. Some are gone, some are still there. Some I have to rediscover, so to speak. A good analogy that was given to me was that it's like your brain, your memories are a filing system, and somebody takes that out, throws it all on the floor, and all the files are everywhere. Well, you still have your memories. You just have to figure out where they are. And so keeping that in mind really did help. I had Lexi just do her best to try and kind of walk me through some memories. And some I would get. Some would come back and I go, oh cool, I remember that now. And some just aren't there anymore. I had troubles retaining new information that I was learning around the time of the treatment. So that is one of the things that the whole memory loss kind of scares me, because I may have to go through that again. Towards the end of my treatment, we are weaning off. I call it weaning. They just call it spacing out the treatments because you don't need them as much. And I was spaced out, I think, if I'm remembering correctly, like 3 months between. And it's this very slow process. Then it becomes short or longer and longer until it's, basically once a year. And they call those just maintenance treatments. And end of 2015, beginning of 2016, I kind of got fed up. I said, I need my memory. I'm still having memory issues. And I kind of cold turkeyed the regimen. And I didn't really have any troubles. The medications I'm on still help and did maintain me. Since we moved, I've had a lot of stress, and I think it's kind of eaten away at the reserve, so to speak, that the ECT has given me, the resilience that I had towards dealing with the suicidal thoughts and dealing with the depression. So now the possibility of ECT coming on, going through it again, is something I'm dealing with. I just went through my first year of biochemistry school and really not wanting to forget that. There's a lot of important information I've learned, foundational information for the years ahead. And so I've told my wife I'm going to have to make sure that I make a regular schedule between treatments of studying what I've learned. Going to kind of be a pain. But I have to reinforce those memories to make sure that they stick around. The very last treatment I had, I discussed with my doctor back in Sacramento, who was a great doctor, by the way. I really trusted him. I always had an answer for my questions and was just seemed to care. So you can't ask for more than that. We discussed frontal, which is where they put the electrodes up here, and it seems like the efficacy of it is somewhere between that of the bitemporal, the bilateral, and the unilateral. So you still get a good amount of efficacy from it, but a little bit less memory loss. And I think that's what we're going to go with right now. And hopefully we'll see what the results are with that. Since I'm experienced in my treatment and my wife has memory of all of it, the doctor that I'm working with here was really really open and kind of wanted to know where I want to go with it, because I am, as I've been told over and over, I'm high functioning. I'm high functioning even though I have a strong mental illness. So right now my thought is we start out by frontal twice a week. We do that for, we'll see, I don't know, 2, 3, 4 weeks, and then start weaning off. I have the summertime, I don't have forever. I kind of want to hit it hard so that it starts helping, but I still need a little bit of time to wean off because I don't want to really go through treatments while school is happening. I'm willing to do a booster session over Christmas, over summer again, but I'm really hoping that it has the effect on me now that it did in 2014 and 2015. It really did make a big impact on me, and I think it's kind of sad that more people won't go through it. Yes, there are downsides to it. There's downsides to everything. Any medication you can take, you can get ill from. It can have major side effects. Some of the medications over the years, they found out the side effects will give you heart troubles or kill you. Hopefully those are taken off the market usually. This won't kill you. But the memory loss is something to consider. The doctor I talked to right now said about 10% of the patients have no memory loss from his experience. About 10% have pretty strong and or persistent memory loss. And then there's just a whole gambit in between, a whole spectrum of minor to moderate to major memory loss. But this can definitely be effective for depression and other mental illness. I can't name all the others, but I've heard that others can be treated. So I hope that maybe if I can kind of keep a video log of what I'm going through, it will give a realistic expectation to somebody out there of how this treatment goes. I've kept up with a couple other people that have done this. It's very interesting to me. Even though I've already gone through it, it's still very interesting to see others' experiences with it, to see the similarities between myself and others. There's one lady that I talk to right now, and she's undergoing it, and she's experiencing some of the things I've experienced, which I wish she didn't have to, but it intrigues me. One thing in particular is that ever since I had the treatment, I've been able to cry much easier at everything. Some things are kind of silly, and watching a movie and just the silliest of barely sad scenes come on and I start tearing up, and God forbid something really sad actually come on, I'll be done. I'll just be a ball of tears. And part of that is the whole male macho thing, but part of it is it can be inconvenient if the situation doesn't necessarily call for that type of emotion, and yet it starts to come forth. So that's interesting. Personally, something else that the ECT did for me is it gave me a sense of smell, which I find just funny. I never had a strong sense of smell my entire life that I can't or couldn't smell things very strong. I could smell a skunk. I could smell maybe a couple other strong smells, mostly bitter smells, I'd say, or strong bitter smells. That's kind of what I would classify a skunk as. When I worked out in the oil fields, hydrogen sulfide, so rotten eggs, sulfur. I could smell that. Real pungent, bad odors I could smell, but nothing. It just had to be strong. But the ECT gave me a much stronger sense of smell, and that part I kind of liked. That was interesting. Another thing that I experienced, the doctor was able to explain this to me, was that the hippocampus plays a critical role in memory, and it may be the only place, I'm not sure, but it's definitely one of the places in the brain where lifelong neurogenesis takes place, so you can make more brain cells. And that's part of how the ECT works. It stimulates the hippocampus to make more brain cells. But also, since it's involved with memory, especially geospatial memories, I started losing my sense of direction. It's back now. But in the town I was living in at the time, I lived the majority of my life, and I found myself all of a sudden not quite sure where I was or going when I was driving around. That was kind of a pain in the ass. So we'll see. I'm in a new city now. I've lived here for a year. We'll see if that happens and if I have to kind of rediscover some of the routes that I've been taking now for a year. But I don't know how long till my first treatment, but but I'm just gonna start here. We'll see where it goes, and if there's any questions out there, feel free to ask. Definitely willing to answer questions, and just tell you guys how it all goes. Alright, well, thank you.